Hey, good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Pro Wrestling Talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. So, one of the things that I said at the beginning of this year, 2023, was that I wanted to check out some more different Joshi Pro Wrestling promotions. Now, a couple of videos ago, I did my review on Ribbon Mania 2022, which was an Ice Ribbon Joshi Pro Wrestling show that happened right at the end of last year. And, definitely enjoyed that. That was pretty neat. And thanks to a friend of mine, shout out to Jesse, one of my followers / subscribers, recommended me a Pro Wrestling Wave event, and they actually just had one at the beginning of this year, 2023, January 1st, which was titled Wave Nami 1, Nami Hajime Go Wave. And I have heard about Pro Wrestling Wave before, but I had never seen a show. I used to think it was pretty hard to catch, but thankfully, with Jesse's help, I was able to actually watch a full show. And you know what? I thought it was a very interesting show. So, just a little bit of background. Pro Wrestling Wave was founded in August of 2007. Apparently, it was founded by the names Tatsuya Takeshi, who's apparently the president, Yumi Oka, and Gami, which apparently is the booker. Real name is Mikiko Futagami. So, yeah. And like I said, I have heard a little bit about Pro Wrestling Wave, but I've never seen a show before, so it was really cool to actually get a chance to see a show. I've heard a few names that have competed in Pro Wrestling Wave, like, Hikaru Shida, Miyuki Takase, Saki, Hikari Shimizu, Ayako Hamada, let's see, even, I believe Asuka has even wrestled in Pro Wrestling Wave, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there's a handful of familiar known names that have wrestled for Pro Wrestling Wave before, whether it's one show or multiple shows. But yeah, so I figured I'd watch this and I get on here and do a review of my first ever Pro Wrestling Wave show. So this particular show, like I said, it's called Wave Nami 1, Nami Hajime Go Wave. And this took place in the Shinjuku Face Arena in Tokyo, Japan on January 1st, right at the beginning of the year. And there were only 5 matches, but you know what? They were pretty entertaining matches. And I felt like they were a decent length for all 5 matches. So, let's get into the matches. So, first off, to kick the show off, there was a gauntlet match where Sakura Hirota ran the gauntlet. There were 10 women that she went up against, and apparently there were a sequence of 1-minute matches. I wasn't too sure what was going on at first, so I had to do a little bit of research, but came to find out that the matches in the gauntlet that she ran were a minute time limit apiece, and she went up against 10 different ladies. So, thought this was an interesting start to the show. But anyway, so we had a 10-woman gauntlet match that Sakura Hirota ran. Pretty much her versus 10 women. So the women that she competed against, they wrestled her in this order. So you had Aiger, Itsuki, Aoki. You had Rina Amikura, which a familiar face. She's with the Colors subunit of Cosmic Angels. You also have Haruka Umesaki. Of course, I remember her from who's competed in Stardom a couple of times, part of Pro Wrestling Diana. You had Riko Kawahata. You had Tsubasa Kuragaki. And then you had Yuko Sakurai, which also part of Colors. You also had Ayame Sasamura. Then you had Kakeru Sekiguchi. And then the 10th lady was the Phoenix of Osaka, Miyuki Takase, who I've met twice through DPW. She wrestled in the States before. But yeah, that was the order and the order of matches that Sakura Hirota went up against. And there were some pretty interesting outcomes, but at the same time, you got to keep in mind, each match was a minute long. So, and when you think about it, it makes me think about Julia and Stardom is also getting ready to run the Gauntlet. I think she's also doing, 15 or, not 15, I think 10 or 13 other ladies or something like that, and they're going to be in a sequence of like a gauntlet of 3-minute matches, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so this is pretty much similar, except the matches were a minute. So the way this went down, so her first match against Aiger ended in a time limit draw. So they were both outside of the ring. You know, no pin or submission happened by a minute, so time limit draw. And then next up was Itsuki Aoki, who ended up pinning Sakura Hirota. So she ended up pinning her, so she took a L there. And then the third match was against Rina Amikura, which she was able to pin Rina Amikura. So it was kind of like a knockout gauntlet match. So once Sakura Hirota got the victory, she would eliminate, the woman that she beat in the gauntlet. So she eliminated Rina Amikura, so beat her. And then next up, she went up against Haruka Umesaki, which I was kind of surprised. She got the win over her pretty quick. So she pinned Haruka Umesaki, then eliminated her. And then Riko Kawahata came in, and she got pinned by Sakura as well. I think just right before the minute mark. And then Tsubasa Kuragaki came in and ended up pinning Sakura Hirota. So pretty much each time Sakura got pinned or time limit draw, that lady would come back into the rotation later on in the gauntlet. So next up, Yuko Sakurai from Colors came in, and Sakura was able to defeat her, to pin her. Then next up, Ayame Sasamura came in. Sakura was able to defeat her. And then Kakeru Sekiguchi came in, and while she was doing like the whole, I guess, little mini lion dance, Sakura pretty much gave her a schoolgirl pin and pretty much pinned her, I think, right after the bell rang. Like, it was crazy, but eliminated her. And then Miyuki Takase was the 10th woman to come into the match. And she was actually able to pin Miyuki Takase just before the 1 minute mark. So she pinned her, eliminated her. So the rotation resets with the ladies that Sakura Hirota haven't defeated yet. So back to Aiger. It went to another time limit draw. So 2 time limit draws against Aiger. And then Itsuki Aoki came back in because remember she didn't beat her before. Itsuki beat Sakura, but she was able to get her revenge and pin Itsuki, eliminating her. And then Tsubasa Kuragaki came back because that was another one that she still hadn't defeated. She was able to defeat her, and then back comes Aiger, and eventually, about almost at the middle point of time, Sakura Hirota was able to pin Aiger and complete the gauntlet, the 10-woman gauntlet. So that was wild. That was a really wild gauntlet match. You know, it's definitely not the typical gauntlet match that you would see like in WWE or like any other type of American promotion. So the way they ran this, I felt was pretty interesting. But yeah, I think ultimately the objective was to showcase Sakura Hirota. You know, somebody I've never heard before, but that's pretty much what this ended up being, was just showcasing her. So, interesting start to the show. And then next up, you had a triple threat match, which the ladies in this match were Yuki Miyazaki versus Asuka, aka Vinny, versus Suzu Suzuki. Now, Asuka / Vinny, I've actually seen wrestle a couple of times. She was in the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament that took place a couple of years ago, where they had a USA bracket and a Japan bracket, and she was in the Japan bracket, but she lost in the first round to Emi Sakura. But still, great wrestler. And of course, Suzu Suzuki's with prominence and is also wrestling in Stardom. She's 1/3 of the current Artist of Stardom champions. We saw tables and chairs and even a staple gun. Like, Suzu ended up stapling some prominence posters to the arms of Yuki Miyazaki, which honestly, I didn't know this was going to be a hardcore match, but I guess it was pretty much like a hardcore match or a weapons-free match. But yeah, we saw staple gun, we saw tables, we saw chairs. I mean, even Suzu took a couple of table shots to the head, like just boom, boom, busted through the table. Her face got all bloodied up. Her head and face got bloodied up. I was like, dang, Suzu Suzuki, that chick is crazy. Oh my goodness. And she's only 20 years old, but she's definitely the future. But yeah, crazy, wild match with all three of these ladies. I mean, so many weapons being used, and it was crazy. Like, yeah, it was really crazy. Even to the point where a rolling cart was used in the crowd, where Asuka had both Suzu Suzuki and Yuki Miyazaki on a rolling cart. I think Suzu was upside down, and she just kind of drove the rolling cart like through one of the bleacher sections. It was crazy. It was a crazy match. Very entertaining, but it ended up resulting in a time limit draw, which you normally wouldn't think any sort of weapons or hardcore no holds barred match usually isn't timed, but this one had a time limit, 20-minute time limit apparently. But yeah, this match ended in a time limit draw. Suzu Suzuki wasn't happy about it, but I mean, it is what it is. But still, it was a very entertaining match. I definitely enjoyed it. And Suzu Suzuki, you is crazy. Okay, and then we actually had 3 championship matches on this card. So the first of three championship matches, we had the Pro Wrestling Eve International Championship on the line as the champion, Yu, defended against Kohaku. Now, of course, Yu has wrestled all over the place, and she's also one half of the current Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Champions with Nanae Takahashi on Stardom. But yeah, and you know something? This was my first time seeing Kohaku. I have to say, I was actually very impressed with her. Like, this was a great match. She even was able to explode her suplex Yu. It took a couple of tries, but she was able to suplex her. I was like, dang. And she kind of reminds me of like a similar size to Stardom's Saya Ida. But I think she's a little bit taller. But yeah, Kohaku, I thought, did really good in this match. But Yu definitely showed why she was the stronger of the two and why she was champion. It was definitely back and forth. And you know what? I give Kohaku a lot of credit. With the bumps she took against a much, much bigger Yu. But when it came down to it, Yu was able to retain the Pro Wrestling Eve International Championship by hitting Kohaku with a last ride power bomb and pinning her for the 1-2-3. But gotta give some love to Kohaku. I thought she did good in this match. She gave it a good effort and was even able to take Yu off of her feet. So gotta give mad props for that. But overall, great match. Great match. I definitely can learn to like Kohaku and hope to see more matches of her. So, good stuff. Okay, next up we had the Pro Wrestling Wave Tag Team Championships. And the champs, galaxyPunch, which are Hikari Shimizu and Saki of the Colors subunit of Cosmic Angels, who have wrestled on Stardom. And they defended the titles against the team of Cherry and Kaori Yoneyama. Of course, for those that don't know, Kaori Yoneyama is also Fukiken Death in Oedo Tai. And if I remember correctly, she is the founder and organizer of the wrestling promotion. I think it's YMZ. I think that's what it's called, YMZ. But yeah, this was and this wasn't the first time I've seen Kaori Yoneyama. She's also wrestled before on Gato Move Choco Pro Wrestling as well. And I believe she's also wrestled in I want to say she's wrestled in Oz Academy. But she's a veteran. She's definitely a veteran. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, but yeah, she's almost been wrestling as long as Emi Sakura. I think they're pretty similar in age, but she's wrestled in, here it is, Stardom, Pro Wrestling Wave, Pure J, Oz Academy. Yeah, see, Oz Academy, I was right. Ice Ribbon, Gato Move, DDT. So she's wrestled all over. So this was my first time seeing her wrestle in Pro Wrestling Wave. But yeah, so the Wave Tag Team Championships were on the line, and I have to say this was a good match. This was a really good match. Like I said, I'm beginning to get more and more high on Hikari Shimizu, especially after she had a high-speed championship match not too long ago against Azumi. Wasn't able to win, but she looked great. And overall, this match was really cool. This is my first time seeing Cherry wrestle, and I thought she looked really good. And Saki and Hikari Shimizu definitely looked great in this match. Saki's been wrestling quite a bunch on Stardom, with Cosmic Angels. But yeah, this was a very action-packed tag team title match. And you know what? I definitely enjoyed it. It really could have gone either way, because actually, apparently I learned that Cherry and Kaori Yoneyama are former Wave tag team champions. I didn't know that. I actually recently looked that up. But yeah, they're former Wave tag team champions. But when it was all said and done, Saki was able to get a roll-up pin, like a very interesting pinning combination, and was able to pin Cherry for the 1-2-3 to retain the Wave tag team championships. So Hikari Shimizu and Saki are still your champs. And apparently they have been the champs so far in their second reign. This is actually their second championship reign. And they have been champs for 151 days so far. And they've actually made 5 defenses. So apparently in their first run, they had it for 175 days on 3 defenses. But right now, 151 days on 5 defenses. So, hey, that's what's up. Good stuff to galaxyPunch, Hikari Shimizu, and Saki for another successful title defense in their second reign. And then the main event was for the Regina de Wave Championship, which also known as the Wave Single Championship. And this came down to the champion, Hikaru Shida, of course, from AEW, defending against Prominence's 1/3 of the current Artists of Stardom championships, Risa Sera. And I have to say, this was a very wild but great main event. Of course, during the belt presentation picture, Risa Sera got the jump by using the belt to knock down Shida for the preemptive attack, but wasn't able to keep her down. And these two definitely brawled quite a bit outside of the ring, even to the point where they brought in a whole bunch of random luggage cases from like all over the ring and just started hitting each other with those luggage cases, and even throwing a whole bunch of them into the ring. I think there was like a good 10 something luggage cases just in the ring. They were even stacked up at one point. It was crazy. It was really, really crazy. But these two ladies battled it out. This was a great main event. Definitely back and forth. And, just a FYI, Shida originally won the Regina de Wave Championship, defeating Suzuki. So I find it kind of interesting that, Shida is defending the title against another member of Prominence in Risa Sera. So I thought that was pretty cool. But this was definitely a great main event. Back and forth, lots of luggage cases. But after a katana followed up by a second tamashi, Hikaru Shida was able to get the 1-2-3 on Risa Sera to retain the Regina de Wave Championship. So, great match, great main event. Shida, still your champion. And the thing about this is actually Shida's second Regina de Wave Championship title run. She was actually the second ever champion back in 2014. So she had the title then for 171 days on 4 defenses, and she actually just had her 4th defense recently in her second reign. So, yeah, a title that Shida is very familiar with. Um, and apparently, there's a good number of names that have held this title. Ayako Hamada, who I'm a big fan of, watched her quite a bit, especially back in Impact Wrestling. Ryo Mizunami, another good example. Takumi Aroha of Marvelous, she's won it twice. But yeah, so a couple of names. Veni slash Asuka has held this title before. But yeah, even Rina Yamashita has held this title. Currently been wrestling in GCW lately. But yeah, so got a nice little lineup. And of course, the last champion before Shida was Suzu Suzuki. But yeah, so I thought this was a pretty decent show. Like I said, I felt like the times for the matches were good. Only 5 matches. And I love the announcer. I thought it was interesting. The announcer would announce each of the names, first name first, then last name. I thought that was pretty interesting. Usually, a lot of the Japanese promotions that I've watched, they usually announce last name first and then first name. But for this one, the announcers did first name then last name for everybody. So I thought that was pretty noticeable. But yeah, overall I enjoyed the show. As far as the promotion, like I said, this was my first time. I mean, they only have 2 main championships, which is the Wave Tag titles and the Virginity Wave Singles title. I mean, they don't seem like they have a big roster. So, I mean, maybe just those 2 championships are enough. But, I mean, when I looked at Ice Ribbon, Ice Ribbon only had, Ice Ribbon has 5 championships, but I think Ice Ribbon has a bigger roster than Wave. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Wave was good. I enjoyed it. I think the way they have it now seems fine. So, but yeah, that does it for my first taste of Pro Wrestling Wave. And I'm gonna keep an eye out on them. There's still much of the roster to learn about, just like with Ice Ribbon. But let me know what y'all's thoughts are for those that checked out this show. Wave Nami 1, Nami Hajime Go Wave, that happened in Tokyo on January 1st. Let me know what your thoughts are. What did you think of the matches? What do you think of Pro Wrestling Wave? What are your thoughts on the promotion? Is this a promotion that you like, don't like? And, let me know why. And if you have any other Joshi Pro Wrestling promotions or just any others in general, let me know. Like I said, Ice Ribbon, got introduced to that. Just got introduced to Pro Wrestling Wave. And actually, I'm going to be checking out Seedling. They got a show coming up on the 13th that I actually bought a live streaming ticket for. So I can't wait to check that out. So that'll be my first time watching Seedling. I hope I said that correctly. If I didn't, please correct me. But yeah, so let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell while you're at it. And thank you so much for watching and for all of your support. For another Pro Wrestling Talk video brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the 2. I'm your host, Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed day tomorrow, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.